right, I'll bring you on here in just a second. All right, our theme there wrapping up. Musicians Come and Play with Larry Rizavi and his out-of-town checks. And that takes us to 12 minutes now before the hour of 12 noon. And our temperature reading is at 28 degrees here in central Minnesota. You're listening to your dependable neighbor for all of central Minnesota, KASM Albany, 1150 AM, KDDG Albany, 105.5 HD2, 107.7 on your FM dial, and streaming on the World Wide Web at mykasm.com. 12 minutes before the hour of 12 noon. Again, our temperature reading 28 degrees. It is our 320th program, Musicians Come and Play, and we have our guest on the line, and we're going to go to the phone line and bring her in right now and say good morning to Miss Diane Langner Fowler. How are you, Diane?
I am doing fine, Cy.
Well,
how are you? You're up there in that cold, cold weather.
You bet we are. And actually not too bad these days, 28 degrees. For the last week in January, I think in your lifetime we've seen worse than that, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, good. Well, Diane, you are one of the original Langner Sisters from up here in central Minnesota, and married name Diane Fowler. Let's go back in time and tell us who Mom and Dad were and a little bit about the siblings, all about yourself.
Yeah, okay. We were raised, well, I got to slow down here a little bit. Our parents were Joseph and Irene Langner, lived by St. Anna, Minnesota. Our address was Avon, Minnesota, and they had 9 children, and the 5 of us girls started singing together, and then got down to the 3 of us, which did the recordings, the Langner Sisters, Diane, Sandy, and Jeanette. And then we also have 3 brothers. There were 6 girls and 3 boys in all.
Okay. Great. And where did you go to school, Diane?
Holdingford, Minnesota is where I believe all of us graduated at Holdingford, Minnesota. We went to a little grade school before that, but everybody in Holdingford. And I don't think anybody went on to college, if I am correct.
Okay. All right.
Everybody just married, I think, and moved on in life.
That's what took you away from here when you got married?
No, not me.
Okay.
I guess I didn't want any more of the farm life.
Okay.
Back then we were poor and didn't have much, so I went away seeking my fortune.
Oh.
I thought money would make the difference,
Sure.
Would make me happy. But I found out that money doesn't do it at all.
Well, good for you. And so then, do you remember how long you were here before you left? About the timeline at all?
Yeah, I know it was in the 70s.
Okay.
70s, we made our, in the 70s, we did our records, our albums, our recordings, and I remember, I don't think it was, I didn't move down to Georgia until 1983. Before I was in Alaska for a little while, and some other states, but I moved, totally made my move in 1983.
Okay.
And then I got down here, and the Lord came into my life, and I straightened myself out, and have been living for the Lord again ever since. Before that, I sort of gave up on the. Well, I just made some bad mistakes, but then the Lord brought me back around.
Well, good for you. So you got married along the way, and you got married to a fella. His nickname was Bug?
Yes, Bug. In the spring of 1984.
Okay.
Yes, he was an evangelist down here, a preacher man.
Uh-huh.
And we immediately, he was just the greatest musician ever, and we just immediately started a group, a gospel group together. Even before we got married, we were singing and going from church to church, singing all over the place. So it was a wonderful new beginning for me.
You bet. And you called the group Volunteers for the Lord, huh?
Amen.
Yes.
Volunteers for the Lord.
Okay. And what was Bug's name, baptismal name, or whatever you would call it?
He was Ernest Quinton Fowler.
Ernest Clinton Fowler. Okay. Very good. Yeah. And you were together to just a couple of years ago, huh?
Yes. March of 2018.
And the Lord called him home.
With the Lord.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. Did he have illness or just a quick heart attack or what?
No, just a lot of problems.
Okay.
Lung problems, heart problems.
Okay.
It's a lot.
You bet.
He fought a good fight all the way.
And you miss him dearly, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh.
Everybody, yeah. You were talking about, I got to listen a little bit about the on your earlier show this morning, about a few little minutes in, and when you were dedicating the songs to those that have lost loved ones, and you talked about Rosie and people that are close to us. And just last month, Dawn Erpelding passed away, who was the Langner Sisters fan club president.
Oh, really?
He was just the greatest guy, and he left his beautiful wife Kathy and their children. And it's so sad. But I wanted to say, I just appreciated hearing you how caring and how you treat your folks up there, and you really care and show people. I mean, your broadcast is so personable, and that is so wonderful to hear. You are still so down home country up there, and it just feels so good. You lost Rosie, the one in your office. We all have so much, so many to look forward to meeting once we get up there to heaven. It's just
Absolutely, and it is such a hard time when you lose somebody close, and you well know, and I've lost folks in our family, and you lean on your faith a lot. You just trust that there's a better place beyond what we're at here, and nobody. There's a song that goes, everybody wants to get to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And I think that is so true of life, isn't it?
It is. This flesh just doesn't want to give up, even though we know it's going to be so much better.
That's right. We all think we are pretty strong in our faith, and yet when it comes to that moment, we get a little bit weak in the knees. I think, actually, in my case, pretty wobbly. So.
Oh, outside, because nobody really knows what that crossing over will really be like until you're there at the threshold. So
absolutely.
It is very thing.
You bet. Well, and you had children then too as well, didn't you, Diane?
One daughter.
You have a daughter, okay.
Yeah, and her name is Donna. Donna Hutchins. And yeah, she married a young man from Jasper, Tennessee named Brian Hutchins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
I am so... Go ahead.
I was going to say, they joined you on the recording there with the Volunteers for the Lord as well, huh?
Yes. Our daughter was, they were a part of our group and with singing. Well, at first it was just our daughter with us and some other guys who played for us, bass and all that. And then when Donna got married, then her husband joined in too. He's a real good musician too. He can pick the banjo and guitar. It was a great mix.
Well, good. Are you guys active at all yet these days? Are you doing any music in that area?
Well, since my husband passed, and before he passed, when he got ill, then the Volunteers for the Lord desisted or just stopped. Mm-hmm. But then my daughter and her husband went on their own way. They're still, they still make gospel music.
Okay.
And I've sort of, I don't anymore until this last CD now, the Langner.
Well, very good. And if I can ask you to hold that thought, Diane, because we're going to come back and talk about that brand new CD. Right now it's 12 o'clock here in central Minnesota, and time to read the ad for our sponsor, the St. Joe Meat Market, and then we'll come back with you and talk about that brand new CD. How's that, Diane?
All right.
Okay, so greetings from the St. Joe Meat Market. And it is the week before the big game. Yes, Sunday, February 2nd is Super Bowl Sunday. And it's a time when folks like to get together and enjoy some fun and fellowship with food and beverages, even if some aren't particularly interested in the game. Come into the St. Joe Meat Market this week for great meal planning ideas. St. Joe Meat Market always has a nice counter of beef, pork, and chicken for the full meal menus. For those that simply like to nibble and graze, the St. Joe Meat Market has homemade Swedish meatballs, the little cocktail wieners and sausages for serving in barbecue sauce, and the ever-popular meat and cheese trays. And don't forget the corn dogs, assorted varieties of burgers, patties, brats, and hot dogs from the St. Joe Meat Market. They're always easy to prepare and serve very quickly for the big game or occasion. Your party or get-together is sure to be a success when you start with award-winning sausages and meats from the St. Joe Meat Market. As always, for more great in-store specials, call 320-363-4913. Like us on Facebook or look for us on the web, www.stjosephmeatmarket.com. Thank you, and may your team be the big winner. And Diane, for being our guest on the show, and you've been here before, you know how it works. We put up a nice meat package at the meat market, and then along with KASM, we mail that out, priority mail to you, and hope that you and those around you enjoy it in good health. How's that?
Wow, I can't wait. That last one was so delicious and so much fun.
Well, good. That's great. So we're looking forward to doing that for you. And it's just an honor to have you on the program, Diane. So good. You guys had it going for just a number of years, and, people just came out in droves to see you guys perform. And I was there, one of those. It was just a great time, wasn't it, back in those days?
Yes, wonderful. So much fun. We had so much fun.
And you were just young and everything in front of you, and you guys dressed up and you did the part so well, and everything just came together so well, huh?
It really did. And all the folks, the dance, everybody just came together in such a beautiful community. Those dances, those ballrooms were just so wonderful, such a wonderful gathering place. I don't know, it's just not like that anymore today.
No, that's true. But you still had that longing, that fever to try to get together one more time. And so tell us in your own words how things, when things came together. You came up here last summer, and got a hold of Sandy and Jeanette, and you guys did some recording.
I'll tell you, Cy, it all started with when you interviewed me. I believe it was on September 2nd.
Okay.
You interviewed me, and I thought, it was just okay with me, but then I started getting letters and calls and saying how people enjoyed it, and how, and that I started listening, and they said, well, the KASM is still playing the Langner Sisters music, and people are loving it, and you just keep on. I thought, wait a minute, I thought when our mother, when Irene Langner passed away, that Langner Sisters music would also die, because I really thought that you were doing it all for her for some reason. I don't know, God was just blessing. But after I heard that, I started thinking, whoa, and I don't know, some feeling came over me, and I just started praying to the Lord and thanking Him. And the Lord said to me, just as clear as you're talking to me today, He said, you're going to go up to Minnesota. He said, you call Sandy and Jeanette and tell them that it's time to make a gospel CD. And I said, what, Lord? I said, no way. Sandy had been having cancer treatments. Her last treatment was in September.
Uh-huh.
Jeanette had been battling with a throat problem. She had lost her voice completely for a while, and little by little it was coming back, and she was coming out of it, getting better, but she could not control her voice hardly. And I certainly didn't have the money to make a trip up to Minnesota. But so this album was to me, it was a complete miracle.
Really?
I called Sandy and said, what do you say to the Langner Sisters recording a gospel CD? And she waited a few minutes, and she said, yes. And it was amazing. Then I talked to Jeanette, and they said yes. Jeanette said she could hardly talk, let alone sing. And I said, well, I give you have a month to strengthen your voices and to practice. See, we never got to practice together.
Yeah.
We decided everything over the phone, and Sandy laid down the songs on a cassette tape and sent them to me and Jeanette so that we could sing along. But, practicing together is what really makes the difference. You can sing to anything, but to sing together is where it's at. So me and my daughter, we drove up there. We spent 2 days recording, and I tell you, it was... I can't believe that it actually happened and came to fruition and completion, because we had such a hard time, and the first day it was not too bad. The second day, our voices were already so weak and wore out. So it's amazing. But I'll tell you what, I applaud Jeanette and Sandy. My voice was in a little better shape, because at least I had my vocal cords, even though they're bad and scratchy and old. But Sandy and Jeanette, they really, really stood the test. They gave it their all.
Oh, that's awesome.
I just praise God that we were able to do at least those, 10 songs?
10 songs, yep.
So I just praise God. And, you know, that's what this album is all about.
You bet.
We're just saying, thank you, God, for the wonderful life you have given us. And it's a tribute to Mom and Dad,
Yeah.
Joseph and Irene Langner, for their raising and all they did for us, but mostly to God. He let us have all that fun, all those years, and all our good health and our families. He has given us so much. We just said it's time to somehow thank him publicly.
Absolutely.
So I know we may not sound. I mean, we're just a few old. Well, I call it now the old lady Langner Sisters. But you know, that's exactly who we are, and we should sound like exactly who we are. Just elderly women trying to do their best to sing some praise, some songs to the Lord. And, you know, we had people down here say, well, don't worry about it. All you got to do is use auto-tune. You know, now anybody's voice can sound good. Just auto-tune your voices. We said, no way.
No.
We are who we are. We want to be real. We want to
authentic. Yep.
Yeah. So it was, it took a little bravery, courage to get out there and do the CD.
Well, you did awesome. I'll tell you, it is, folks are going to be excited to get that. I'm still working on the artwork, but we're going to have those for sale shortly, and folks can pick up a copy for themselves, and we'll have them at the meat market in St. Joe, and folks can get a hold of me if they're from out of the area, and we'll sure get them to them. But, yeah, it's going to be fun. Can you talk a little bit about the song selection, Diane, how you came about the 10 songs that you picked out? Were they favorites of yours, or the special meaning, or how did you come about those particular 10 songs?
Well, since Sandy is the lead singer, I told her she had to pick the songs, whatever would work the best for her voice.
Okay.
Because her body, you know, she's just fighting such a battle. She's so strong, but yet her body has gone through so much. I can't believe she sang so as well as she did. But I let her pick the songs, and she to pick songs that she said were simple and easy to sing. So that was what she pretty much chose the songs. I helped a little, but I let her have the choice. So and they're all.
And some of them are real recognizable. I mean, How Great Thou Art. Daddy Was an Old-Time Preacher Man. That's a Porter Wagoner song. Dolly Parton from years gone by. In the Garden, very common. But then you have one here called Thank You for the Valley.
Oh, yeah, that is one that me and my husband, the Volunteers for the Lord, sang that one. And Sandy really loved it, and Daddy, when he was alive, so Sandy sort of really loved that song, and she started singing it some time back.
Oh, okay.
But that was a song, that came from me and Bud down here.
And then there's Will the Circle Be Unbroken, Just a Closer Walk with Thee, Amazing Grace, I'll Fly Away. And then there's one called He's My Bread. That sounds like a Don Williams song.
Yes, it is. Just turned into a Christian version of it. We also had that one on the Volunteers for the Lord album, and that may be where Sandy got it from, or there were some other groups that did it in the Christian style, with words.
Oh, it's awesome. And then finally, the last selection, How Far Is Heaven? And boy, I thought that was such a fitting song for the conclusion there, as you did the recording, a tribute to Mom and Dad. You guys did it right. I mean, it's just awesome.
Oh, we hope that everybody who hears it, that it'll just touch their heart and bring them a little closer to God and His beautiful heaven. You know, we have so much to go there for besides Jesus, God himself. You know, it is such a touching song. And that's what we just want to share. Before we made it, the three of we talked and said, we want this CD to just be relaxing. And it's like coming home to the old home place, to mom and dad or grandpa and grandma, and just sit down and relax and feel the love.
You bet.
And that's, praise God.
You bet.
And thank you for wanting to take it on and play it. This is the debut. Actually, nobody has heard it yet, except for me and Donna and Brian and even Jeanette and Sandy. They said they would be willing to wait, and it's the first time that they will be hearing it on your program.
That is awesome, and we'll certainly feature that coming up here in the next few minutes, and we thank them for all their cooperation and participation. I think you guys are awesome. Were you possibly living off a little bit of the adrenaline from those days with Eddie Blazonczyk and Gene Thomas and all those great years that you I think sometimes people might have even mistakenly called you Lennon Sisters instead of Langner Sisters, huh?
Yes, we were. It's very, very possible that we were living off that adrenaline. It brought back so many memories, and when we started singing together again, no matter how rough it was, it felt so good.
I'll bet it did. I can believe that. Back in the days, did you guys look up to the Lennon Sisters or some of the other gal singing groups or anything like that? Did you guys have...
Definitely.
You did?
Even though, we weren't exactly the same style, but
right.
we thought the Lennon Sisters were great. My mom thought they were great. We just loved them.
We still see them on PBS on the Lawrence Welk Show. I mean, these shows are back from the 60s and 70s, but they dressed appropriately like you guys did, and their voices and their harmonies were so true, and you guys, I wanted to ask you before, how did you ever figure out who sings what, or was it natural that one had a higher voice or a lower voice, or how did you guys figure that out as the years went through?
It just came natural.
It did.
And I think Mom, our mother, is the one who chose. She had a real good ear for music.
Okay.
And knew whose voice was good and whose wasn't, So the lead singers have the best voices, and then harmony, we take second place,
Uh-huh.
Some people say, no, that's not true at all. But I think it's true. But it just was the perfect mix.
All right.
And I don't care how much music you study or whatever you do, it has to be a God-given gift.
That's
it's
true.
Just something that the three of us have the right voices that complement each other. But see, it doesn't happen. It's just a God-given gift.
Well,
and that's the way I feel about it.
And what you're saying is absolutely true, because how many times have you gone to church, for example, and that person next to you is about a half note flat, and it kind of makes it hard for you to sing along because, and on the other hand, when you sit by somebody that's got a strong voice and right on key, right on pitch, and it's like, oh my goodness, I think I'm pretty good because they're actually carrying you. So that's really true what you're saying, that when the three of you come together like that, you just kind of pull each other along, huh?
Yes, there has to be a natural blend of those. Anybody can harm. It just is a good blend, and God just blessed us with that. And boy, did we take it to town.
You sure did. Now, on this recording here, somebody is strumming the guitar. Is that you?
Yes, that's me.
Oh, okay.
And that's all we did was we laid the tracks to my guitar.
Okay.
And then brought the recording, the tracks back. And then my daughter, Donna, added the extra instruments.
Okay.
We didn't do much. At first she really put a lot in there and did a lot of work, but then she had to backtrack because she says, no, all it does is take away from the voices. We have to really hear the Langner Sisters. So she backed off, and there's a very light accompaniment, but it's the best mix.
Well, it sure is. It sure is. And by now we've got people jumping up and down and saying, are you guys ever going to get done? We want to hear this. So our time is about run out. But I know I asked you the last time, Diane, and I put you on the spot once again. Share a memory from either back in the days or recent times, something that stands out. Share it with the listeners, would you?
Oh, man. No, nothing comes to mind because my mind is just too full. I just thank God that we were able to do this, and the reason it was so troubling because God said to get it done, it has to be done now, and that's why we recorded it in October, towards the end of October, and I just praise God that we were able to bring it to completion.
You bet. You bet.
Love you all, and God bless you, Cy, and just God bless everybody up there in Minnesota and wherever else they're listening from. And God bless KASM, that you are still playing that good music and sacred music and polka music. I just love it. Praise God.
You bet. Well, Diane, our time has run out. I want to especially thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us again. And like I told you the last time, if the good Lord's willing, you and I are still here down the road, we'll do this thing again another time. How's that?
Sounds great.
All righty. So if you want to hang on the phone there, I'll talk to you off the air. But you have a great day, Diane.
Oh, you too, Cy.
All righty. Thank you so much. Alrighty, and there she goes, Diane Langner Fowler, our 320th guest here on our Musicians Come and Play program on KASM. Don't go away. We're going to have music coming up by the Langner Sisters, their brand new recording, Country Gospel, in their later years. Tribute to Mom and Dad. Larry Razavian is out of town checks with our theme, Musicians Come and Play, wrapping up right there, wrapping up our 320th edition of our Musicians Come and Play program. Diane Langner Fowler, our guest this morning on our Musicians Come and Play program. And what an awesome guest. Oh, Diane just does so well and got the girls back together. Kind of was the catalyst there to put this thing together. And you can just tell they work so well together. Jeanette, Sandy, and Diane, the Langner Sisters. And right now, we're going to feature some of that brand new music that they just recorded. It's the Langner Sisters in their later years, country gospel, and it is a tribute to Mom and Dad, Joseph and Irene Langner. And we're going to start out with one called Daddy Was an Old-Time Preacher Man. This is a Porter Wagoner Dolly Parton number from years gone by.
Daddy was an old-time preacher man. He preached the word of God throughout the land. He preached so plain a child could understand. Yes, Daddy was an old-time preacher man. He told the people of the need to pray. He talked about God's wrath on Judgment Day. He preached about that red eternity. He preached hell so hot that you could feel the heat. Daddy was an old-time preacher man, and the owner would get up to testify, and we'd sing in the sweet by and by, and then we'd sing, I'm on my way to Canaan's land. Yes, Daddy was an old-time preacher man. Revivals and camp meetings went for weeks. Folks came from all around to hear him preach. Daddy said if one was saved, it's worth it all. But the aisles were always filled at altar call. Daddy was an old-time preacher man. He preached the word of God throughout the land. He preached so plain a child could understand. Yes, Daddy was an old-time preacher man. Daddy worked for God but asked no pay, for he believed that God provides the way. We never had a lot, but we got by. Guess it's 'cause the Lord was on my daddy's side. Daddy was an old-time preacher man. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. I'm on my way to Canaan's land. Yes, Daddy was an old-time preacher man. And we sing in the sweet by and by, and then we'd sing, I'm on my way to Canaan's land. Yes, Daddy was an old-time preacher man. I'm on my way to Canaan's land. Yes, Daddy was an old-time preacher man.
Isn't that awesome? Yes, Daddy was an old-time preacher man. The Langner Sisters off of their new release, Country Gospel. Here's another one on the way. This one called In the Garden. The Langner Sisters.
I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear calling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. walks with me and he talks with me and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks and the sound of his voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing, and he walks with me and he talks with me and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. I'd stay in the garden with him, though the night around me is falling, but he bids me go through the voice of woe. His voice to me is calling, and he walks with me and he talks with me and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known.
The Langner Sisters and one called In the Garden, taking us to 12:30 here on KASM, and we're at 28 degrees here in central Minnesota in the first portion of our musical treat for dancing feet, and that is always brought to us by Turco's First Line Tours, Dave Evertowski and the gang out of East Bethel, as they proudly bring us the first portion of our musical treat for dancing feet here on KASM. They do all sorts of tours and trips around this great land of ours, all the big cities and destinations. They do the statewide tours around the state of Minnesota, and of course they do the casino tours to many of the casinos in and about our area. And of course, they are looking forward to Arizona, warm and relaxing, coming up first week in February 5th through the 20th. And this is a big trip, and you're sure to have a great time. Now, this tour includes luggage handling, Cathedral of the Pines, the Old Town Albuquerque. 7 nights you're going to spend in Phoenix. You're going to get the Phoenix City Tour, Old Scottsdale Tour. There's going to be 4 music events, as Jerry and Joyce are going to join you on this trip and put on 4 music events. There's also the Arizona Opry Dinner Show, a Tucson Days to Sabino Canyon Tram Tour, the Sonora Desert Museum Tour, the Paima Air Museum Tour. There's a Dolly Steamboat Canyon Lake Cruise, and the list goes on and on. Whole bunch more on this brochure. So to get on board the bus, to receive a brochure, to find out more information about this great trip, give Tourco a call. Their phone number is 612-840-2334. 612-840-2334. Dave and the gang at Tourco, they'd love to hear from you, so make that call this week. Tourco, they proudly bring us the first portion of our musical treat for dancing feet here on KASM. Music continues with the Langner Sisters off of their brand new CD. This one is called Will the Circle Be Unbroken? The Langner Sisters.
I was standing by my window on one cold and cloudy day when I saw that hearse come rolling for to carry my mother away. Will the circle be barren. Lord, I hate to see her go. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Oh, I followed close behind her, tried to hold up and be brave, but I could not hide my sorrow when they laid her in the grave. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I went back home, my home was lonesome, missed my mother, she was gone. All my brothers, sisters crying, what a home so sad and lone. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
The Langner Sisters, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? And we're listening to music by their brand new CD, their brand new release, the Langner Sisters in their later years, Country Gospel, a tribute to Mom and Dad, Joseph and Irene Langner. Right now, here's one that many, many artists have recorded over the years. Patsy Cline comes to mind, Alan Jackson, a lot of great singers. And here is the Langner Sisters now with their rendition of Just a Closer Walk with Thee.
I am weak, but thou art strong. Jesus, keep me from all wrong. I'll be satisfied as long as I walk. Let me walk close to thee. Just a closer walk with thee. Granted, Jesus is my plea. Daily walking close to thee. Let it be, dear Lord.
The Langner Sisters with one called Just a Closer Walk with Thee. Here's another inspirational tune, one called I'll Fly Away. The Langner Sisters.
Some glad morning when this life is o'er, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away when the shadows of this life have gone. I'll fly away like a bird from these prison walls. I'll fly. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. Oh, how glad and happy when we meet. I'll fly away. No more cold iron shackles on my feet. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away to a land where joy shall never end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away.
The Langner Sisters, I'll Fly Away. As we're listening to their brand new release, Country Gospel, in their later years, the Langner Sisters, and a tribute to Mom and Dad, Joseph and Irene Langner. Here's one that we talked about in the interview, and it's a Don Williams tune. I recognize it as a Don Williams tune. It's called He's My Bread. It's the Langner Sisters.
He's my bread when I'm hungry. He's my shelter from troubled winds. He's my anchor in life's ocean. But most of all, He's my best friend when I need hope and inspiration. He's always strong when I'm tired and weak. I could search this whole world over, yet He'd still be everything that I need. He's my bread when I'm hungry. He's my shelter from troubled winds. He's my anchor He's my bread when I'm hungry. He's my shelter from troubled winds. He's my anchor in life's ocean. But most of all, he's my best friend. He's my anchor in life's ocean, but most of all, he's my best friend.
The Langner Sisters, boy, they haven't lost a step, have they? Boy, really, really good. One called He's My Bread. Don Williams' tune won the music to You're My Best Friend, and this selection called He's My Bread. As we move into the final portion of our musical treat for Dancing Feet here on KASM, brought to us by Laverne's Travel of Little Falls, Laverne and Kim. Yes, they bring us this portion each and every week at this time. And, of course, already looking at their schedule, one trip is already complete. Yes, they did the January Escapade Surprise Tour back in January, 8th and 9th of this month, and now looking forward to the Hawaiian Land and Cruise Package. Comes your way the first couple days in March, 4th through the 14th, 11 great days in all. It's a nice trip, a great package, so you'll want to check that out. If you're ever thinking about going to Hawaii, this will be an awesome one to take in. Then they're going to do the Washington, D.C. Cherry Blossom Time. That's the end of March, the 24th through the 31st. Another great trip there. Here's one that looks really fun. Yes, the Price is Right day trip to Mystic Lake Casino. It's a one-day trip. It's a Thursday, March the 5th, just $109, and it includes the premium ticket to the show, buffet dinner, and transportation. And, as they say, booyah, you could win the Showcase Showdown. Pickups are in Little Falls, St. Cloud, Albany, and Cokato. And how many times have you watched the Price is Right show? And they're on location, and somebody gets called up and wins the showcase. So that could be you. So $109 is all it costs you to get on board, and you get all of that. The ticket to the show, the buffet dinner, the transportation, and you could possibly be the winner of a Showcase Showdown. Price is Right day trip to Mystic Lake Casino. That's March 5th. It's a Thursday. They're also going to do the Ark Encounter and Creation Museum tour. That comes your way in April. Their seventh annual Spring Mystery Tour. They've been doing the Fall Mystery Tour, and it's been so successful that they started the spring one 7 years ago, and that is going to be 3 great days to, well, we don't know. They'll take you someplace, and you're guaranteed to have a great time. That's April 15th through the 17th. Just $369 per person based on double occupancy, and that guarantees you a spot on the bus. And one bus already full, and they're now taking reservations for the second bus. Northern California tour is on the itinerary. Let's see, flipping the page, they're going to do the Gaither Vocal Band Live Concert Series to Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's towards the end of April. Also in May, the North Country Quilt Shops, May 5th and 6th. That's always a popular tour. Looking ahead, I told you about the Fall Mystery Tour. That's scheduled for September 15th through the 18th. This is their 32nd annual trip. So, yes, lots of great times and great memories people have been having with Laverne's Travel, and you can do the same. To get on board the bus, give them a call. 320-237-4856. That's the local number. And if you're calling from out of the area, toll free, 1-800-840-9211. 1-800-840-9211. Laverne and Kim, they're standing by, so you can give them a call right now. They'd love to hear from you, whether you want a brochure, you want to make a reservation, you want more information about one of these trips, or just want to be on their mailing list, you can do that. Again, 1-800-840-9211. That's toll free. And local number 320-237-4856. Laverne's Travel, Laverne and Kim, proudly bringing us our final portion of our musical treat for Dancing Feet here on KASM. Well, we've time for just a couple more selections, and I had mentioned during the interview that I thought this was such an appropriate concluding song. It's track number 10, and it's one called How Far Is Heaven, as they do this recording in tribute to Mom and Dad, Joseph and Irene Langner. One called How Far Is Heaven.
How far is heaven? Let's go tonight. I want my daddy to hold me tight. A little girl was waiting for her daddy one day. It was time to meet him when she heard her mommy say, "Come to Mama, darling, please do not cry. Daddy's gone to heaven, way up in the sky." How far is heaven? When can I go to see my daddy? He's there, I know. How far is heaven? Let's go tonight. I want my daddy to hold me tight. He was called so suddenly and could not say goodbye. I know that he's in heaven. We'll meet him by and by. The little girl trembled, her tears she could not hide. She looked up towards heaven, and then she replied, "How far is heaven? When can I go to see my daddy? He's there, I know. How far is heaven? Let's go tonight. I want my daddy to hold me tight."
And there you go. So awesome. Yes, How Far Is Heaven with the Langner Sisters. Time to wrap up another edition of our musical treat for Dancing Feet, and we're going to do that with one called Thank You for the Valley, the Langner Sisters.
Thank you for the valley I walked through today. The darker the valley, the more I learned to pray. I found you where the lilies were blooming by the way, and I thank you for the valley I walked through today. Thank you for every hill I climbed, for every time the sun didn't shine. Thank you for every lonely night I prayed till I knew everything was alright. And I thank you for the valley I walked through today. Life can't be all sunshine, or the flowers would die. The ocean would be desert, all barren and dry. Life can't be all pleasure, or there'd be no need to pray. So I thank you for the valley I walked through today. Thank you for every hill I climbed, for every time the sun didn't shine. Thank you for every lonely night I prayed till I knew everything was alright. And I thank you for the valley I walked through today. Our sufferings and very hard to bear. But look to the heavens and you'll find the answer there. He calls for us to be with him for our journey along the way. So thank him for the valley you walked through today. Thank you for every hill I climbed, for every time the sun didn't shine. Thank you for every lonely night. I prayed till I knew everything was all right, and I thank you for the valley I walked through today. Thank you for the valley I walked through today.
The Langner Sisters, yes, one called Thank You for the Valley. Wrapping up another edition of our musical treat for dancing feet here on KASM. And yes, we plan to have some of these available at the meat market tomorrow. So if you're liking what you hear, yes, it would be what I would call a collector. You bet. They've only printed a few of these at this time, so we'll have some of those for sale tomorrow. All right, we'll get to weather. Weather coming your way after this message. Cy Pfannenstein Music Service is your source for great polka music and more. Cy carries a lot of the great bands from yesteryear like Whoopi John, Babe Wagner, Fez Fritzie, Elmer Scheid, the Six Fat Dutchmen, the Deutschmeisters, Dick Rogers, Wee Willie, and the list goes on. Cy also carries the CDs of current bands still actively playing like Barefoot Becky, Carl and his Country Dutchmen, Gary and his Ridgeland Dutchmen, Adam and the Jolly Jammers, Dale Damon and the Polka Beats, and the up-and-coming Nathan's Old Time Band, just to mention a few. To order some of this great music, check out Cy's website, www.cysmusic.com. Call Cy toll-free at 1-877-479-5269 or stop in to the St. Joe Meat Market in downtown St. Joseph, Minnesota. Cy also carries a nice selection of gospel and inspirational music, country, big band, and other variety music. Cy has a huge assortment of Daniel O'Donnell CDs and DVDs. Again, that's Cy's Music Service on the web, www.cysmusic.com.